Hey guys, and welcome back to Man Talks Abuse. Please subscribe, like, and share. This is Familiar Spirits Part 2. I'm going to try to keep these within between 10 and 13 minutes just so we won't get overloaded on too much information and that you can always go back and listen to the first one, second one, and third one to catch up. Because I do want to respect our time also. But as I was saying in the last familiar spirit, yes, every time that we had a confrontation that I would call him out on something that was just crazy stuff, he would always go back to was you're just familiar with me. It's a familiar spirit. You're too familiar with me. And as I said, I began to log those two words in my spirit, my soul, my mind, because apparently they meant something to him. And as I began to get wiser and more silent, listen to me, as I began to get wiser and more silent and pray and meditate about the things that was going on in my life, and this huge thing that was going on in my life, I began to take notes. I began to write things down. I began to log things. And as I said, his go-to was, you are too familiar with me. He was really telling on himself. Listen to me again. Because he kept saying, it's a familiar spirit that you're too familiar with me. And I really did not know what it all meant. But let me go ahead and read again part of what a familiar spirit is. It says this again: familiar spirit, a spirit or demon that serves or prompts an individual, a demon supposedly attending and obeying a witch. Now, in Wikipedia again and on Google, it says, what is a familiar spirit? The word familiar, it comes from a Latin word meaning household servant. You guys got to get this. You guys got to get this. Familiar, a household servant. So what, in my mind, he was telling me that you are familiar with what is housed in me. You are familiar with the evil that is housed in me, and you can see it and you can feel it. Check it out. And I could see it. I could feel it. Because, listen, you did not live under this thing, but there was so much intense pressure. If you look at my hospital records over the past 13 years, every time I went to a mental ward, it had to do with some foolishness and evil intent that he was doing. Now, it says this: a household servant, and was intended to express the idea that sorcery had spirits as their servants. So I'm using his words. I'm not using my words. I'm using his words. To me, he was telling me that he was influenced by something evil to help him gain assistance to overtake me. And I would go so far as to say this: he said so many times, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but I'm speaking off the cuff. He told me so many times that he believed that he could access his mind in such a way to control things and people. We're talking about witchcraft. We're talking about evil, demonic spirits. But he had already told on himself by telling me, you are familiar with these things. It's a part of being. It's anyway. So he was telling me that I was familiar with the witchcraft that was inside of him for evil purposes. It is now clear to me that as I was living under the influence of this sorcery and witchcraft, that the tension, the chaos, the crazy making, the going around in circles and circles and circles and circles and circles. Listen, we could have an argument, and I know you don't know me, but if you knew me, I'm a very calm, mild-mannered person. It takes a lot to get me yelling and screaming. But at times, I went there yelling and screaming. Guess what? He'd go to bed and sleep like a baby. That does including his snoring. Me, on the other hand, I was up all night because my system was so off. My whole psyche was so off. But now I see what it was. It was those demonic, familiar spirits that wanted to run amok on me, that wanted to bring hell into my life, that wanted to bring hell into my peaceful life. Now, all of this stuff has to do with witches. I'm going someplace. Remember, if you listen to the first one, I talked about a witch. I'm going somewhere. And so I realized that there was no way possible under the sun that he and I could ever have anything else to do with one another, because he was now getting all of his information, influence from this allegedly, I'll put it that way, witch that he is now in a relationship with, which he met. And I want to talk about the lies that that's housed in him. If you remember me telling you that I told him that there's no way this person who, as it looked like to me on her social media page, that she was definitely into witchcraft. And I said, no, this cannot be. This cannot be. It will not be. And he hunkered down even more. And I remember him looking at me eyeball to eyeball, as he always did, but he never said anything, as if to say, buddy, you have no idea who and what you are messing with.